Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to another Wednesday episode with my good friend Beth English. Today, we're going to talk about brand consistency in 2022. It's just a few things that you can do to keep consistent with your brand, as it is right now in this year 2022. But first, before we do that, hi, Beth. How are you? Good to see you.
Hello, it's great to see you. I'm happy to be here. And it's summertime. Woo!
I know, Chicago, finally, we are like in the 80s or so. So we jumped from 50s to 80s. So no spring. We went from winter to summer. Spring lasted like one day and that was it. So if you missed it, you missed it kind of thing. But we're happy to be here. And today we're going to talk about consistency in your brand, which is something that I think, as more diverse number of accounts that we manage from social media, from our website, or anything else. It's so easy to kind of disperse our brand and kind of lose focus. And when somebody sees you somewhere, they might not recognize you when they go and they see you somewhere else. So kind of when I look at brand consistencies, how do I stay very similar when I'm in, TikTok, or when I'm in, in my YouTube channel, or whatever places I'm all in, so that somebody finds me here, when they go there, like, okay, it's the same guy, it's the same person, not another Sergio Gomez who might be out there. So that's something that I like to think about. That's something that you like to think also, Beth. I know you like to think about your brand too and how you put yourself out there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, ever since I started marketing myself online, it's always sort of been the same. Like, I want to bring a good energy. I want people
Yeah.
to feel joy. I want to talk about the power of creativity. And so I think I've done a pretty good job at that because that's all people know me
Very good.
by.
Awesome.
And so I'm like, okay, I did it. I did it right. Check
Yeah.
that box off.
Check. There we go. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some things that you can that can help you to kind of keep consistency in your brand. So the first one I want to talk about is your profile picture. Your profile
Mhm.
picture that you use. It's a good idea to revise it once in a while. Sometimes I might still see a picture of somebody who that's how they were like 30 years ago. It doesn't really look like how they look like right now. So kind of it's a good idea to keep your brand updated. So you don't have to do this, but I recommend, if you want even more consistency, to use the same or very similar, image for your profile picture in all your social media platforms. So if I go to TikTok, if I go to Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, across the board, I see the same person. And not in one place you look like, you are 30 years younger, another one 30 years older, and another one is a picture of your dog. So it's really hard for people to connect, okay, that is the same person. So just by just the visibility of the first thing we see on somebody's post is that little circles, right? So kind of keeping consistency on that, something that we cannot do. I decided I think it was 2 years ago. No, I think it was last year, I don't remember, to kind of change mine and put like that little graphic that you guys see everywhere with my pointy hair and just my glasses. And I said, I'm going to use that everywhere and anywhere, across the board. And that kind of helps me, because when somebody's looking, I meet somebody and like, they're looking for me. It's the one with the pointy hair and the glasses. It's just two things. They can find me anywhere really easily. So that's kind of a thing. I know not everybody likes to use the same picture profile and everywhere, but again, it's just one thing, that little things that sometimes can add more recognition across the board.
Right. And I think if you're going to use a picture of yourself, it's important that your background isn't too
Yeah.
busy, that it really is just like highlighting your face. And so good light on your face. And there's tons of apps out there where you can
Mhm.
go and you can manipulate photos to take out the background and put
Mhm.
colors. And so there's so many tools that we can use. I think it's just important that we're using them, we're doing something to be consistent, and we're making sure that all of our social media channels, make sure that yes, this is the same person. And I feel like that's hard to do to
It
confuse
is.
people, but I know it happens. So just be
Yeah.
mindful, right?
Right. Or sometimes, I see a profile picture where the person is like this tiny on top of a mountain. It's like, great, you love
Mhm.
mountains, but I have no idea who you are. So, yeah, think about the user on the other end. That is if you want to manage your profile as an artist brand, as a brand. If it's just your personal thing where you're doing your own thing, as a person, then that's fine. You can do whatever you want. You can put a picture of your dog if you wish. But as an artist brand that you may want to take out there in the professional setting, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Now, the next one is also your profile description in all your platforms, do they actually match? The reality is that, many of us, we open, let's say maybe you open Twitter, 5 years ago, and then you open Instagram maybe 2 years ago, and now, maybe TikTok just last month. So, there might be some huge discrepancies what you said about yourself, in all the different platforms. So I have kind of done that myself too, going to each platform and say, okay, what description am I using is still relevant? So again, when somebody sees me in each of the different platforms, is it the same person, right? Am I speaking the same language? Am I highlighting the same things? Am I using the same profile link, everywhere, which you can use Linktree or beacons or anything like that you can use across the board. So whenever you say, look at my profile link, it will always be the same versus if you are now on Twitter or, everywhere else, making sure that there's consistency in that sense too.
Yes. And I feel like we change what we are doing in our career, how we describe what our work is. Sometimes we're just trying on something new and we'll change just one profile and then we'll be like, whoops, if I like this, I better make it on every single one of them.
Exactly.
And I know that I'm guilty of that. So my most updated profile is usually my Instagrams.
Very good.
But you can still find me everywhere else. So I don't worry about it too much, but I know how important that line is so people know exactly what you do, how you serve people, and how you can connect even more.
Yeah. And I usually start on Instagram. Once I find because, with the restriction of characters in all the platforms, once I find the one that I like on Instagram, then I just go and copy it and then put it in the other places. And then just tweak it if I need to. For example, on Twitter, because on my Twitter, I'm working a lot more on NFTs and I want to connect with the NFT community. So on that one, I make sure I reverse things. I highlight the NFT part of my description because I want people, when they see me there, they know I'm one of the community in NFT. So there, even though my handle is Sergio Gomez Art everywhere, but on Twitter, the description says Sergio Gomez NFT, again, to really quickly visually connect, okay, this guy, is working on NFTs. So, and on my Instagram, I have it the other way around. Because again, my handle is saying Sergio Gomez Art, but my description will be Sergio, then artist, NFT, curator, coach, right? So those variations are also good to do in the different platforms to optimize and maximize what is it that you want to highlight, but still keeping it within the consistent brand. So that's that. The next one I would also suggest you guys kind of keep consistent is your story, your artist story. What are the parts that on your story that you want to continue to highlight as you speak, throughout across the board in all the different social medias as well. When you are on Instagram, what are the things that you're talking about there, Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and so on. Yeah, you can use and you want to adapt to each platform because each platform is different. However, what elements on your story you want to continue highlight, or you want to highlight now more than others, because I think, again, that adds consistency also in your voice as a brand across the board, so that people recognize you, they hear you, they might hear your message, on Twitter, but then they go to Instagram, they hear it again. So again, that redundancy and that repetition is what makes you as a brand be memorable. So you remember it, right? If you only see it one time, you'll forget it. But if you see it here, everywhere you go, that's good. It's one of the comments that a lot of people tell me when they first meet me. I see you everywhere. And yes, it's by design, it's because I make the purpose to be visible everywhere and over again. So again, just another point in which, can help create consistency across the board in your brand.
Those are such great tips. And I really think it's important that we own who we are, right? I think sometimes we may shy away from describing ourselves in a certain way because we don't believe that we're an artist yet, or we don't believe that we're working in this way. I think when we truly own our brilliance and then display that on our profile, then we're just going to attract the right people. And sometimes I know as artists, we tend to downplay ourselves in the way that we describe ourselves and describe our work. And if we do that, then we're just creating a barrier for connection. And so the most important thing we can do is when we put our picture up there and our description and everything that we use to really own who it is that we know that we are, even if maybe it feels like we're imposters. because I guarantee when you put artists up there or keynote speaker up there, like it's gonna feel a little bit like, well, am I? Am I?
Yeah,
And I say own it, and
absolutely.
it'll feel great. Because I had a friend who did that on Clubhouse. I went to her profile because I just done a profile class where they explained like how to make it the best you could. And I said, girl, put comedian on there. And she was like, really? I was like, yes. And then she said it opened up so many doors to her
Yeah.
doing shows on Clubhouse because she had fully put her brand up there for all to see without that fear of maybe she wasn't who she said she was. So,
I love that. I love it. Yeah, you gotta embrace who you are. You gotta embrace that, and then you have to project that, in the way you speak, in the way you describe yourself, and then yes, and then let the world absorb it, take it, and go from there. I love that. That's great, and that, my friends, kind of wraps up this episode where I just gonna kind of give you these little tweaks that sometimes they're like, well, they're so little, it doesn't really matter, but they do really matter when you hear what people say. Oh, I found you here, and then I knew it was you, right away. Or that consistency pays off in the long run, and you get to test it because people will give you that feedback. So, thank you, my friends, for watching. Where can our friends connect with you, Beth?
On Facebook, Instagram, all over. I'm like you, I'm everywhere, but I usually am on Instagram and Facebook the most at Beth English. My website's bethenglish.com. What about you, Sergio?
Awesome. You can find me as well everywhere. Just look for that little icon with the guy with the white hair pointing and then the white glasses, and that's the real me. So have a good rest of your day, my friend. We'll see you next Wednesday, and have an awesome day. Bye, Beth.
Bye.